Grade. We are working on more fraction problems today. Just as a quick reminder, whatever I write on my paper, you also, yes, that's right, you write it on your paper. Today, we're going to be focusing on comparing fractions. Our first problem is 3 multiplied by 2/8, and we're comparing that answer to 7/8. Now, I can't just compare right now because I still have to solve this side. This is a whole number and my fraction. My whole number tells me how many groups I have. 1, 2, 3 groups. My fraction is what I put in each group. 2/8, 2/8, 2/8, and I want to know how many eighths total I have. So that means I am adding those fractions together. I'm going to rewrite it. 2/8 plus 2/8 plus 2/8. When I'm looking at my denominator, the denominators are all the same. So I know my answer is also going to have a denominator of 8. And I have 2 plus 2 plus 2 for my numerator. When I solve that, I end up with 6/8. So I can go back here and make another comparison of 6/8 instead of 3 multiplied by 2/8 and compare that to 7/8. So 6/8 and 7/8. Which one's bigger? It's the alligator. It wants the piece of pies that's going to give it the fullest tummy. And so it wants 7 pieces instead of 6 pieces. So it's going to eat the bigger pie and go, nom, 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 nom. Yay, 7/8 is greater. Sorry, we had some giggles. The last thing we want to talk about is this sign and how to say this problem appropriately. So when we're comparing, we have 3 multiplied by 2/8, which is less than 7/8, because this is a less than symbol. Okay, our next problem, we are comparing 2/6 with 1/3. And I want you guys to notice something. Just like addition, are our denominators the same? No, they're not. And so just like addition, I want to make the denominators the same so that way I can compare it mathematically instead of trying to work out a picture and not being 100% sure if my picture is accurate. So I'm taking my two denominators, 6 and 3, and I'm going to write multiples. So I'm going to start with 6, multiples of 6. I'm just going to do the first few. So I have 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and I'm going to move on to my other number, which is 3. I start with 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So those are my first 5 multiples. I want to see if there's any common multiples, and I'm looking for the lowest common multiple, or LCM. So I'm starting with 3. Are there any 3s in the 6s? Nope. Are there any 6s in the 6s? Ooh, yes. There's a 6, and there's a 6. Are there any 9s in the 6s? Nope. 12s in the 6s? Ooh, I found another one. 15s in the 6s? Nope. I know I have a couple of multiples here. I can identify which one's smaller. 6 is smaller than 12. So now I can come back up here, and just like I would with an addition problem, I want to rewrite this problem so that way my denominators are the same. And I'm trying to get both denominators to be 6s. So I have to ask myself, what did I do to this 6 to keep it a 6? So how many times did I count? 1. So the first multiple of 6. So I'm multiplying 6 by 1, and whatever I do to the denominator, I also multiply for the numerator. So 6 times 1 is 6, and 2 times 1 is 2. And I'm going to put my box down here for comparison. My next problem, I have 1/3. I'm going to look at my 3's and figure out what do I need to do to 3 to get it up to 6. This is my first multiple. This is my second multiple. And that's what gets me to 6. So 3 times 2 for the denominator. And whatever I multiply the denominator by, I also need to multiply the numerator by, which is 1 times 2. So my new fraction, 3 times 2 is 6, and 1 times 2 is 2. Do I have the same denominator now on each of these fractions? Yep, I do. So now I can look at the numerators. I have 2 and a 2, so 2/6 and 2/6. Those two are equal. They are equivalent fractions. They're the same amount. So if I'm an alligator, it doesn't matter which pie I eat. They're both going to give me the same amount. Let's do one more. All right, guys, this time I have 1/8 plus 2/8 plus 3/8. And I am comparing that total to 4/8 plus 1/8. Before I can compare, I need to solve both sides. I start by looking, are my denominators the same on this first side? I have an 8, an 8, and an 8. Yep, they're all the same. So I know that my denominator will be 8. My numerator is a 1, 2, and 3, and I'm adding those together. So 1 plus 2 plus 3. And when I solve that, 1 plus 2 is 3, and 3 plus 3 is 6. So I have 6/8 on this side. Now I go to the other side. Again, do I have the same denominator? Yep, I sure do. So I know my denominator will be 8. My numerator is 4 plus 1. My denominator stays 8. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I'm comparing 6/8 and 5/8. If I am an alligator and I want the most amount of pie, I can choose between 6 pieces or 5 pieces of an 8-piece pie. So I'm going to choose the 6/8 because it is bigger than 5/8. So my alligator opens its mouth towards the 6/8 and goes nom 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 and eats 6/8 of a pie and leaves the other pie alone because it's smaller and this alligator is hungry. This symbol is a greater than symbol. So when we go back up to our problem, we can say 1/8 plus 2/8 plus 3/8 is greater than 4/8 plus 1/8.